I immigrated from India to the United States when I was very young, and I'm from a Muslim family. And for a long time growing up, I felt like the different parts of my heritage, India and Islam and America, were kind of at odds with each other. And I felt like if I wanted to be one, if I wanted to be American, then I couldn't be Muslim. If I wanted to be Indian, then I couldn't be American. And it was through the stories of these great social justice heroes, these great interfaith heroes, that I found a common value between those three traditions. And that common value is pluralism. That India, America, and Islam, at the heart of those three traditions is this deep reverence for the idea of people from different backgrounds living together positively. And it took me a while to get to that. And I call it, discovering that the different traditions within me were traditions that were in mutual enrichment, not in mutual exclusivity. And I think that that's a path that a lot of young people walk, that they find themselves at the crossroads of multiple traditions. And what we have to recognize is that internally, as we find coherence between those multiple traditions, we find the shared values between them, and we live according to those shared values. We have to build that same world externally so that people from different backgrounds living externally can find shared values to live on. I was inspired to start the Interfaith Youth Corps because of the example of young people who've built peace in the world. And I just got tired of turning on the news and seeing the stories of young people who were committing violence to the soundtrack of prayer. And I thought to myself, I have read the stories of all these heroes who were inspired by their faiths to bring people from different religions together to build peace and justice. And I think about Martin Luther King Jr. here in the United States, who was only 26 years old when he led the Montgomery bus boycott. I think about the Dalai Lama, who was a teenager when he led his people into India, into exile. I think about Mahatma Gandhi, the great Hindu leader, who started his movement against racist pass laws in South Africa when he was 24. And there's so many others. There's Dorothy Day and Jane Addams and Nelson Mandela and Desmond Tutu and Malcolm X, and so many of these people were young when they started, and their focus was on building a world in which people from different backgrounds live in equal dignity and mutual loyalty. And I want to build that world, and I know that my generation wants to build that world, and that's why I started the Interfaith Youth Corps, to help channel that energy of young people building interfaith cooperation so that we can all live in equal dignity and mutual loyalty. We really want young people to tell their stories, and we want young people to connect their own personal story with the broader story of the tradition that they might be a part of, whether that's a religious tradition like Islam or Hinduism or Judaism or Christianity, or whether that's a national tradition like India or like China or like Kenya or South Africa, whether it's an ethnic tradition, that we're a part of those stories. And how is it that we are inspired by Islam or by Christianity or by India? And how are we especially inspired to come together with people from different backgrounds to apply the shared values of mercy and hospitality and compassion? So it's really about storytelling, but it's a type of storytelling which recognizes that we are, in a way, a part of larger stories, and we are collectively making a new story. And that new story is a world where people from different backgrounds live in equal dignity and mutual loyalty. And we need to tease out the dimensions of our heritage which help us build that new world.